Hi, and welcome to the Lead Hound podcast. My name is Megan Ritchie, and I'm the host, and today I thought we would talk a little bit about artistry versus systems. I was recently reading a book called Linchpin by Seth Godin. Really good book. I quite enjoy reading just about anything from Seth Godin. I find he's very sort of a motivational marketing book. So if you need a little bit of business motivation, he's a great guy to go to. But I was reading his book, and in it he takes what's the right word? He takes issue, I guess, with a book by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth Revisited. And I really enjoyed this book by Michael Gerber. Really interesting takes, I think, from each of them for very different reasons. So it seemed like it was a good topic to talk about. So in the E-Myth Revisited, Michael Gerber talks about setting up systems to ensure that customers get the same quality of experience every time they visit your location, so they know what to expect, and of course, so they get good service. And his argument, I guess, is that the customers need to know what to expect, need to decide to do business with you because of the service. And so you kind of need to protect that and systematize that so that the customers always get what they want. And Seth Godin kind of takes some issue with that. And his argument is that artistry is more important than systems, that people don't do business with you because of your system. And so in this case, I guess just a simple example is something like McDonald's, right? So they have a system of cooking burgers and things like that so that they get out to you in, I don't know what their magic number is, but let's say 60 to 90 seconds, right? So that's kind of their goal. And everything's systematized from the size of the hamburger to how much seasoning to put on to how long it's on the grill, all that stuff. How you wrap the burger, right? So that would be a system. And in Seth Godin's book, Linchpin, he kind of talks about how artistry is really what make customers come to you. So it would be easy for A&W or Burger King to copy McDonald's system. So at the end of the day, that's not what's going to set them apart. And I thought it was a really interesting argument to make. I think in general, I probably fall more on the E-Myth argument that the system is the benefit. I think the artistry that Seth talks about is very important as well. And I would agree that the artistry is what sets your business apart. But without the system, there's sort of nothing to it. So I think for many of us, we are both the system and the artist. I think the artistry is what sets you apart, but the system is what gives your customer that consistent feel or consistent service every time they come out, so that they're, again, always satisfied with the service they get. And this doesn't have to be with something like McDonald's. This can be service-based, and Michael Gerber goes into some really good examples of that in his book, where he talks about going to a barber shop and getting a haircut. And if your experience each time is extremely different, even if the haircut is good, you don't know what you're to expect when you walk in the door. So eventually you just stop going and you go somewhere else where you know you're going to get what you expect. And so I thought it was an interesting illustration, and both books are well worth reading if you're interested in that. But yeah, I think both are correct. I think for most of us, like I said, the artistry just sort of happens naturally. To some extent, we have to be creative and come up with both a way to set ourselves apart from other businesses, but also just to solve whatever problem we're having. So somehow that part just comes, not that the solutions are easy, but it's very easy to become the artist because you're presented with a business problem, whether that's not enough customers or just scheduling issues with employees, whatever it is. And it's sort of an immediate issue that you have to solve. So you have to kind of be creative and solve it. So I think that part, in my experience, tends to sort of take care of itself. But where we fall flat is implementing the system behind it to make sure that that problem doesn't come up again, or to make sure that the system is in place so that the customer does have the good experience, so that the scheduling does happen consistently the same way, so we're not faced with this problem, next Tuesday at the same time. So I have to say, in general, if there's a debate to be had, I probably fall on the E-Myth side, um, with the argument that the system is important, even if that system is easy to follow, because there will always be some new problem or new way to differentiate yourself from other businesses. But without the system, and typically, for a lot of online businesses, this might just be email follow-ups, putting out new videos, new content, things like that. But unless those systems are in place, it doesn't matter how different you are from your competitors, if you're not following up and doing the same thing consistently behind the scenes to make the business function and run like a well-oiled machine. So the artistry is important, but I think for a lot of small businesses that part comes naturally. I think the trouble most of us have is more on the systematizing after the artistry happens. Anyway, I just thought, I greatly respect both of these men, and found a lot of value in both of their books. But it was an interesting debate, that they were having, and I just thought you guys might get a little bit of benefit, from the insight of both of them. So I don't know where you fall on that spectrum, if you agree with me or disagree with me. So anyway, that's just some food for thought. If you have some time this week, it might be worth your while to think a little bit about how you can maybe do some of the systematization of your business to make sure that the machine running your business is well-oiled and doing what it needs to do while you are solving today's crisis and being that artist. But I do think it's a valuable exercise and something good to think about. So I hope you can put that to use and get some value out of this short little podcast episode. With that, thank you for tuning in, and I will catch up with you next week.